Welcome to Brace the Hammer's first ever Hammer versus Hammer, a new series where we are pitting our favorite writers against each other. First up, we have Andrew, straight out of New York, New York. Andrew, what's going on, man? How you doing?
What's going on, JL? How you doing? Hammer, hammer.
Hammer, hammer. Doing good, doing good. And, of course, we're putting him up against our favorite, everybody's hometown hero, James West Ham Shout. James, how's it going today?
Not too bad, mate. Not too bad. How are you?
Very, very good. All right. So in this series, basically, we're going to take certain issues, 3 or 4 or 5, and we're going to give each one of these writers to kind of state their case on the issue. For example, if we were going to talk about Andy Carroll, and they would each give their perspective on Andy Carroll, then you, the viewer or listener, depending on where you are, will decide who was right and who you agree with, and where the club should go from here. Sound good?
Wonderful.
All right.
That's
awesome.
great.
Well, let's not waste any time. Let's dive right into it. We just witnessed a pretty disappointing, I think it was disappointing because it was surprising more than anything else, loss to Watford, even though we were away. It just, everybody seemed, there was a lot of hype, the tough trainings, the hard training videos that the club was putting out. Everybody was kind of buying into this system. Players were saying, yeah, this is great. This is exactly what we needed. Fonte was on the on radio talking about how, you know, Bilic was a nice guy, but we didn't have like the tough-nosed rapport that Moyes is bringing in now. But it didn't pan out to anything. In fact, it looked like the same exact team that we've been watching all season long. So, that being said, let's talk about our first issue. And I want to bring up Andy Carroll because for years now we've been waiting for Andy Carroll. He's hurt. This, you know, something else is going on. He's having social issues. He's out too late. And now everything was supposed to be coming together. We were going to see the real Andy Carroll. Are we seeing the real Andy Carroll right now? Is that what's going on? Or we're done with Andy Carroll is what I'm saying. Do you feel that way? Andrew, why don't you start?
Well, though James is shaking his head profusely with no Andy Carroll, I have to say that I can't blame Andy Carroll. There's still a little bit left in him. Honestly, I gotta say that if it wasn't even for Carroll, probably we may not even had a chance in the first half because he had a good combination play with Mark Noble, with Lanzini, which led to Kouyaté doing what Kouyaté did in front of net. We're going to speak about that later, for damn sure.
Probably.
But, I mean, Carroll, the thing is that it would be one thing if he was wasting chances and didn't had clear-cut chances and blew them. But
well, let me ask you something then, and I'll shift this over and pivot to James. He came out firing, and I'm not just talking about acting as a target man. He was throwing elbows again. Right?
Yes.
Did you see that? He was like, you just got kicked out of a match for that. Like, we missed you for a game, and he's back out there. Like, and I like the hard-nosed, you know, plays, and I love and I could support the gritty attitude. But at some point, you know, maybe, you know, ease off a little bit. James, what do you think?
7 seconds it took him to injure somebody. 7 seconds. Come on, he can't keep getting away with it. All the time, every single match, he ends up on a yellow every single time. I mean, you can talk about his injury record, but I think that's been covered pretty well. I mean, you can talk about the shade he's been throwing at the fans. I mean, my God, he got absolutely slated on Sunday. And, you know, he was getting similar levels of abuse that the board were. Because, as I say, it took him 7 seconds to injure somebody, you know, and he's constantly throwing around elbows. He's got to the point where he's so predictable in his two-dimensional style of play. It's literally just bully the opposition. He gets on a yellow, and then that's the point they know they can just aggravate him. Because, you know, if he responds to it, he's off the pitch.
So just to recap, Andrew wants to keep him. James says let him go. But of course, it is a team game and a team effort. And where would Andy Carroll be if he had a midfield that was actually servicing the ball and using any type of forward motion whatsoever? Every time we see a 4-3-3 played with Cheikh Kouyaté, Pedro Obiang, and Mark Noble, it never seems to work out. Everything is just stale. There's no creativity. It seems like they're trying to force it to Lanzini, who has 2 people just waiting for him to just run into coverage. It just every single time it just doesn't work, and I feel like it's never going to work. in which case, who is our mainstay in the midfield? Who are the three individuals you think Mark Noble, for what, his age and everything, and people are getting on him, he still bleeds claret and blue. So I'm going to pretend Mark Noble is going to stay there. I think he will, even with Moyes. So my question is, who are the other two midfielders that you would pair with Mark Noble moving forward?
Antonio and Arnautovic are available. They should be up front as the outside guys for whether Chicharito, Carroll, even Sacco. And then you have Lanzini on the left of the three, Kouyaté in the middle of the three, and either Noble or Obiang on the right side for the three. So that's it. And again, I don't like that three in the middle like that too.
No.
Yeah, I'm actually trying to picture Mark Noble on the right side, and I just can't. Whatever it is, it is. James, go.
Okay, so I think obviously Noble stays because I think he's the captain. Obiang is in some shocking form at the moment. He is really, he was abysmal on Sunday. He was really bad. And I think Noble and Kouyaté have quite a good partnership. When they're both on form and they're both firing on full cylinders, where Noble comes short and he lacks certain qualities, Kouyaté makes up for it. So Kouyaté is quite a fast bloke of his size, whereas Noble obviously does not have pace, but Noble's better at passing than Kouyaté is. So where the sort of qualities lack, I think, they've got quite a good partnership. And obviously, when the squad does need to be rotated, Obiang is probably really good backup, I think, especially in this league. Probably the most difficult one.
You know who none of you guys mentioned, which I think is interesting, who I personally like?
Don't say Fernandez.
I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it. Fernandez, man. You can't hate on the kid he makes mistakes, but he tries, and he's only 20 years old.
Absolutely.
And he's got such a career ahead of him. I really believe there's something there. And again, I'm not on this panel. I'm just a moderator, so I'll probably take out everything I just said. But
absolutely,
right, I'm allowed to have an opinion.
That's quite him being trusted by the manager. So
right.
There is that. If he's not in contention,
is he healthy right now? I don't even know because he wasn't even on the bench this past.
I'm not sure.
He got back being fit, but Jonathan Gary Lineker, I will not let you take.
All right. So no, that was good. But I disagree with both of you. So neither of you get points in my book. All right. So here's a good question for you. Rumors are speculating. Ex West Ham employee even posted, and some other notables have been saying there's going to be roughly £25 million on the table come transfer market in December 31st. Is it going to make any meaningful impact on the squad? Are they going to give Moyes the funds to actually make a move to improve the team? If they do that, and two, is there anybody even capable of improving this side? I personally have been writing since BTH started, and not to pat myself on the back, but I will. That this midfield is just not good enough, and I've been saying it for I believe almost a year and a half now, and I continue to believe that this midfield is not good enough in a Premier League setting. Is there anything that we can do for $25 million to change our fortunes for the rest of the season? Andrew, I want to start with you.
Well, the thing that makes me laugh though is David Moyes going to have any power to spend even $1 or £1 actually? So let me say that. Retract. But no, I just feel like first is that with how much did David spend in the summer, or what they think they spent in the summer, that they feel to themselves, especially since the original manager that helped spend the money in the summer, even though they had to approve the buys, that they feel that, we're not going to be spending like this. We feel the squad is good enough. And the fact that we only just need maybe one more guy available in January because it's a January window and we're at the bottom of the table. So we, of course, will have these funds to spend, but we still feel our squad is deep enough. And then I guess they may think that the academy and the young players there, whether it's Tony Martinez, who is quite good, but again, not the defensive person that we need overall. And we have Declan Rice, and if Cullen comes back on loan, and see if they would be the guys for the positions that we need to be filled, which is in our defensive midfield, and then make our midfield more fortified. So
I realize you can't see me shaking my head, but I'm shaking my head
I can
negatively.
I can visualize you shaking your head now, but nah.
To be honest, I think it might be enough because I don't think, like, you see all these fancy names going around, like, all right, maybe Ward Prowse, not so much, but like Wiltshire and that. It's not what we need. What we need, let's make no mistake, we're in a relegation fight. It doesn't matter who we get. We could get Ronaldo and it wouldn't make a difference. Well,
I think it would. I think it would make a lot of difference.
But like, we don't need these kind of flair players. We got Lanzini, you know, and there's talk as to whether we can even afford to have him because there's just no fight in this team. The last thing we need is someone with a massive ego but with bags of ability coming in and not doing anything. We've got that in Arnautovic. We've got that in Lanzini. We've got that in Antonio, although he does put a shift in. You know, what we need are, sadly, players that will show a bit of fight, you know, because there's no team. There's not a team there. There's some great individuals. So for 25 million, it'd be enough to get some, you know, let's face it, this summer, the way our season's gone, we're not going to be attracting any big names anyway. So you can't expect anything. But as long as we get some, like, team players, then I don't know. I think probably 25 million is about right for that.
Real quick, 1 minute each. Cresswell or Masuaku? Go. Andrew? I want to start with Andrew because little backstory. I've been preaching Masuaku ever since he came from Olympiacos. I think he's awesome. I think he's got experience in Europe, and I think he's a great player if he gets to play every single day. And I think he's wasting away in the West Ham system, and it makes me sad. And there's no surprise that a bunch of teams have come calling for him. They know the talent is there, and it's almost like finding a hidden gem. So I guess I've shown where my bias is. But Andrew, what do you think? Cresswell or Masuaku?
Well, look at the post racial love bias here that we got. I'm for Cresswell and you Masuaku all the way, so people can see that we clearly are the post racial variety here.
That's right. That's right.
But I'm like, the thing is that though Masuaku will always be better on the dribble, and he'll always have that even more shot for goal, honestly, or at least that semblance of him going for goal. I just feel overall, as a overall left back, being not only a person providing an attack, but being a defender, that Cresswell is still going to be that guy.
I mean, on current form, and I say current, I mean, we're talking quite a long time now, Masuaku has been the better left back by quite a considerable margin.
I knew I liked you, James.
I mean, you can see the instant impact he has when he comes on the game. I mean, you look at, as soon as he came on, him and Sacco created a fantastic opportunity. They really did, and that was within minutes of being subbed on. You know, he is a fantastic left back. Okay, you could argue he's not as good in defence, but going forwards, he's just unbelievable. All
right, for that last one, I'm gonna call it point James because I am not afraid to hide my bias. I think Masuaku is by far the better player, has better upside, and at this point, if we continue to play in the now and not for the future, that's when we catch ourselves in trouble. That is why we are the oldest team in the Premier League, and that is why we find ourselves tired by the 70th minute. Okay, so final round. This is for all the marbles. Actually, I'm going to make this the double Jeopardy round, just to give Andrew a chance, because he's currently behind 3-1. And the fifth and final topic, David Moyes, did we see anything positive from this match? And I'm not saying, not hypothetically, not this is what he's done, so this should be what he does. I'm talking about that last match against Watford. Was there anything we could take and be like, you know what, maybe we're heading in the right direction? James, as the leader, I am going to start with you. Go.
Okay. Right, well, I'm going to argue for the positives because I like a challenge. I like the fact, first of all, that he was willing to take the poison chalice to this job in the first place, and considering how badly this underperforming team has done, you know, it's his first match in charge. At the end of the day, he's had, I mean, we're talking players, some of them, I can't remember who it was, didn't even get back to the Friday before. I think it was Reed. He didn't get back from international duty.
Yeah,
till, I mean, he had a fitness test like the day before the match. I mean, that's ridiculous, you know. And you think Reed is our vice captain, so he's not had all the players to work with. And sure, I wouldn't say the team looked any fitter, but that's not something that will change in 2 weeks' time, or less than that even. You know, it's not something that's going to change that easily. You know, I mean, to all intents and purposes, the fella is willing to work with Sugo and Brady. I mean, that alone, I mean, it's fair play with, because there aren't many managers with.
Just as bad as Jonathan's point system is right now was David Moyes' tactics at Sunderland and David Moyes' tactics at Real Sociedad. And I'm going to give him the Manchester United break because United is a big club and that was just a whole different dynamic. But from what we've seen with him at Sociedad and especially at Sunderland, there was nothing that was going to be amazingly new and different from Village, from the tactics that you were going to see in his first match and just overall. He's always been really more pragmatic to defensive manager of that, you know, I think annoying like British stereotype of managers and having that picture. But regardless, that he's gotten that label, and from what happened with Sunderland and how not very attractive their style was as well, with them not being very good. So honestly, I say to myself, players are going to always have a little bit more energy for a new manager playing their first match, or at least have some semblance of energy. And with how bad Arnautovic has been this season, for how much money we spent for him, yeah, better damn play well. But I just don't see really any like fundamental new upside towards what Moyes is going to bring that's going to be different from what Bilic has.
But would you not argue that one of Bilic's major flaws, I mean, he got absolutely panned for it, was not introducing the youth? And I mean, first game in charge, 3 players on the bench, 3 youth players on the bench. Tony Martinez, you know, we've been calling for it. I mean, I've actually been quite sceptical of Tony Martinez because I don't think chucking him in such a toxic atmosphere is going to help. But a lot of people wanted to see it, and Moyes knew that. Moyes has been in the stands, sort of watching the last couple of games, looking at where we've been going wrong. And to be fair, there was some tiny sort of subtle improvements. I thought, you know, we didn't look comfortable in possession, you know, and it was the kind of thing that is the same problem we had under Bilic, where we never looked. We were always looking like they were kind of scared to take the ball almost, and they were just looking to get past it to somebody else so they didn't have to take responsibility. So there is that, but that's not the kind of thing that you'll change in that long. Mm-hmm. So, you know, there is that, but there was sort of subtle. I think there are signs of improvement, but you've got to be patient with the fella. I mean, he's taken a really tough job with trying to get us lot to play well. I mean,
I gotta say, guys, at first I was like, Andrew's got a point. I'm not really feeling it, but James came in with a counterpoint that really sold me. And while Andrew made a very, very good case, I'm going to leave it up to the viewers because I don't think I am in a position to say. But if it were up to me, I would give the man a chance. It's only been 1 match, and I'd like to see what he can do. It certainly can't get any worse, or well, it really could. It could get a lot worse.
Yeah, and you know, we all, any fan of the team hopes that any manager succeeds because you don't want your team losing, and you don't want the scenario then really having a true relegation fight in the last 2 weeks of the season. But it's got to be asked, like, you know, despite the Davids not wanting to probably pay for another manager they let go, and Lord knows what contract Moyes signed, is he gonna, you know, if he struggles here and there, would they think about having a second manager change the season?
Not a chance, I don't think.
No, never. I
mean, you think they start with Avram Grant? These people, he ain't going nowhere.
All right, well, I'd like to thank Andrew, straight out of New York, manager at BTH. Then we have James, straight out of the UK. Thank you so much for joining us today on our first ever episode of of Hammer versus Hammer. Tune in every single Wednesday. We will put out a new video highlighting 4, 5, or 6, or however many issues we want to talk about based off of the weekend's match. This is from BTH. Follow us at bracethehammer.com and of course on Twitter at bracethehammer. All that shit's going to be below. Thank you so much, guys. Andrew, James, you have a wonderful week. Come on, you Iron.
I can't stand that scoring system.
You can't say what?
I can't stand that scoring system though.
Oh, come on. I didn't give a final score. James won. All right, fellas. All right, bye. Take care.
I'm happy with that.